I got home from a work trip a day early, expecting to kick back with a cold one and surprise my wife, Lisa. We'd been hitched for 5 years, together for 8, and I thought things were solid. I'm 34 now, she's 33, married when I was 29 and she was 28. The trip was to Cleveland for a sales meeting, nothing fancy, just pitching hardware supplies to some big box stores. I wrapped it up ahead of schedule, feeling pretty good about myself, picturing Lisa's face when I walked through the door. The whole flight back to Indianapolis, I was grinning like a kid with a new toy. But when I pulled into our driveway, her pickup truck was gone. That wasn't a red flag on its own. She'd been hitting the yoga studio lately, saying she needed to find her center. Whatever, I figured she'd be back soon. I grabbed my duffel bag, unlocked the front door, and stepped inside. Right away, something felt wrong. You know that gut punch when your house doesn't feel like your house anymore? I called out, "Lisa?" You hear, nothing. Just this thick, heavy silence that made my skin crawl. I dropped my bag by the couch and headed to our bedroom. That's when it hit me like a freight train. Her side of the closet was bare, not messy, not half-assed, but completely cleaned out, like she'd planned it. Her boots, her dresses, even that ugly sweater her mom knit her, gone. I checked the dresser. Her little wooden box where she kept her earrings and that necklace I got her for our anniversary, empty. The bathroom was next, her fancy shampoo, her makeup bag, all vanished. Even that lavender candle she burned every night to unwind was missing. My hands started shaking, and I fumbled for my phone to call her. Straight to voicemail. Figures. Then it came, a text cold as ice. "I'm done, Tom. I'm moving on to someone who's going places. Someone who fits my dreams. My attorney will reach out about the divorce." I stood there, staring at those words, feeling my chest tighten. I sank onto the bed, my bed now, I guess, and let my mind reel. How long had this been brewing? Looking back, the clues were there, but I'd been too dumb or too trusting to notice. She'd started dropping these snide little digs about my job. Regional sales manager for a hardware chain isn't exactly glamorous, but it pays the bills. She'd scroll through her phone, showing me pics of her co-worker Ryan's life, his boat, his trips to Vegas, his new condo. I'd tell her we were doing all right, building something steady, but she'd just sigh, like I was letting her down. The yoga classes at that ritzy studio downtown, the way she'd linger at happy hours with clients, coming home smelling like some guy's overpriced aftershave, I'd ignored it all. I didn't lose it, didn't smash the TV or call her screaming. Instead, I grabbed my phone again, dialed my buddy Mike. He's a lawyer, thank God, and told him everything. He said, "Don't text her back yet. Let me handle it." So I sent Lisa one message. "My lawyer will be in touch." Then I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of bourbon, and sat at the table with a notebook. I started writing, bank accounts, car titles, the mortgage, our phone plan, everything we'd tangled up together. By midnight, my phone was lighting up. Lisa again. "Tom, why aren't you answering? This is cruel. Ryan says you're trying to punish me by going silent." I didn't bite, just kept scribbling, sipping, and planning. Her brother, Jake, texted too. "What's going on, man?" I left it unread. Her dad called. I let it ring. Here's the kicker. Our house is in my name. Mortgage, utilities, all me. She didn't take her name off our joint accounts, though, big mistake on her part. And in her hurry to chase this better life, she left her file box in the garage. Birth certificate, social security card, passport, all sitting there in a locked metal case she forgot about. I didn't touch it, just locked the garage door and kept going. It's weird. I thought I'd be a mess, crying or raging, but instead I felt this calm, sharp focus. Like I'd flipped a switch and could see the whole game for the first time. Tomorrow, I'd meet Mike and start sorting this mess. Tonight, I just sat there, staring at that half-empty house, wondering how I'd missed the storm that had been building right under my nose. The next morning, I woke up on the couch with a crick in my neck and that bourbon glass still sitting on the coffee table, empty. Sunlight was sneaking through the blinds, hitting the bare spots where Lisa's stuff used to be. It was real now, no dream, no do-over. I made coffee, black and strong, and checked my phone. 17 missed calls, mostly Lisa, a couple from her brother Jake, one from her dad again. The texts were a mess. "Tom, this isn't you. Stop being so distant." Then, "Ryan says you're acting like a child. Just talk to me." I didn't reply. Mike, my lawyer buddy, had told me to keep it zipped until we met, so I did. I showered, threw on a flannel and jeans, and headed to his office downtown. Mike's place is nothing fancy, just a brick building off Meridian Street with a sign that says Michael J. Perry, attorney at law. He's been my friend since high school, the guy who'd split a six-pack with me by the river and talk about life. Now he was in a tie, sitting across a desk stacked with papers, looking at me like I was a client, not just Tom from the old days. "All right, man," he said, leaning back in his chair. "Tell me everything, don't skip a thing." So I did. The trip to Cleveland, coming home early, the empty closet, the text about Ryan and her big dreams. I showed him the messages, the ones where she called me cruel and Ryan chimed in with his 2 cents. Mike scribbled notes, nodding, then grinned. "She's making this easy, Tom. That text about moving in with someone else? Gold for us. And the house being in your name? She's got no leverage unless she fights dirty. While we were talking, my phone buzzed again. Jake this time, on speaker at Mike's suggestion. Tom, what the hell's going on? He said, voice all shaky. Lisa's losing it, says you're shutting her out. I told her months ago something was off. She'd been weird about you, man. I'm sorry I didn't say more. I froze. Jake knew? What do you mean, weird? I asked. He sighed. She did this before. Back with her college boyfriend, Nick. Dumped him when she met you because you had a steady job, a house. She's always chasing the next shiny thing. I sat there, stunned. Lisa had told me Nick was a deadbeat who couldn't commit. Now it sounded like she'd traded up to me, and I'd just been too blind to see it. Jake kept going. She's with Ryan now, some slick guy from her office. I don't trust him. Just watch your back, all right? I thanked him and hung up, feeling like I'd been punched. Mike smirked. Her own brother's throwing her under the bus. This is gonna be a cakewalk. Then my phone lit up again. Lisa, I need my social security card for a new gig. Where's my file box? Stop messing with me, Tom. I showed Mike. He laughed. She abandoned the house without notice, left her stuff behind. She wants it? She goes through me. No direct contact. Everything's legal channels now. I nodded, feeling that cold clarity settle in again. We mapped out the next steps. Freeze the joint accounts but leave her share accessible. Switch the utilities to my name. Change the locks. Mike said he'd draft a letter to her attorney about the file box, make her sweat the process. By noon, I was back home, staring at that garage where her file box sat. I didn't touch it, Mike's orders. Instead, I grabbed a ladder and started swapping the doorknob with a new deadbolt I'd picked up at the hardware store. My phone kept buzzing. Lisa's dad now. Tom, I'm sorry. She's always been like this, chasing status. Thought you'd settle her down. She's at Ryan's place now, some high-rise he brags about. I don't think it's even his. I didn't pick up, just let it go to voicemail. Then the social media storm hit. Lisa posted a pic, her and Ryan on a balcony, city lights behind them, captioned new beginnings, better views. I scrolled the comments, her friends gushing, but something felt off. The furniture looked like it came straight from a showroom ad, too perfect. That night, I ordered a pizza, cracked a beer, and kept working. Changed every password, email, bank, streaming accounts. Froze the credit cards we shared. Lisa texted again, you're ruining my life, Tom. Ryan says this is sabotage. I forwarded it to Mike and shut off notifications. Around 10, Jake texted, she's freaking out, can't get into her accounts. Ryan's place is a rental, by the way. His name's not even on the lease. I stared at that, piecing it together. She bolted for this golden life, but it was already cracking. Me? I just kept moving, new locks done, pizza half-eaten, and a plan forming. I wasn't falling apart. I was building something new, brick by brick, while her castle in the sky started to wobble. I woke up the next day to a gray Indianapolis sky, the kind that makes you want to stay inside with a cup of coffee and forget the world. But I had work to do. My phone was quiet for once, no missed calls, no text from Lisa or her family. It felt eerie, like the calm before a storm. I fried some eggs, ate standing at the counter, and checked my email. Mike had sent over a draft of the letter he was sending to Lisa's attorney about her file box, formal, no nonsense, laying out that she'd have to schedule a proper pickup through legal channels. Sit tight, he wrote. She's gonna hate this. I smirked, imagining her fuming at Ryan's fancy rental, realizing she couldn't just waltz back in here and grab what she left. Around 10, I headed to the bank. Froze the joint accounts like Mike said, making sure Lisa could still get her half if she needed it. Didn't want her spinning some sob story about me locking her out. The teller, a nice lady named Carol who'd seen me and Lisa coming together for years, gave me a sad smile. Everything okay, Tom? She asked. I shrugged. Just sorting some stuff out. She didn't push, just processed everything quick and handed me new cards for the accounts I'd split off in my name. After that, I swung by the utility company's websites on my phone, electric, water, internet, all switched to me alone. Felt good, like I was taking my life back one click at a time. Then the storm broke. Mid-afternoon, my phone started buzzing again. Lisa, Tom, I can't pay for anything. My cards aren't working. What did you do? Then another. Ryan says you're trying to ruin me. This is low, even for you. I didn't bite, just screenshot everything and sent it to Mike. He texted back. Perfect. Keep it coming. An hour later, her brother Jake called. I picked up this time, putting him on speaker while I cleaned the kitchen. Tom, she's a wreck, he said. Showed up at mom and dad's last night crying, saying she can't access her money. Ryan's not helping, guy's a jerk. I told her she screwed up leaving you. I scrubbed a plate harder than I needed to. She made her choice, Jake. I'm just protecting myself. He sighed. Yeah, I get it. Just, she's falling apart. That high-rise? It's a mess. Half the furniture's rented, and Ryan's behind on bills. She didn't know. I hung up, picturing Lisa pacing some half-empty apartment, her dream life unraveling. Part of me wanted to feel bad, but mostly I just felt tired of her games, tired of being the guy she settled for until Ryan's shiny promises came along. That night, I checked her social media. She'd posted again, another balcony shot, her smiling with a glass of wine, captioned, rising above the noise. But the comments were different now. Her friend Sarah wrote, "You okay, girl? Call me." Another guy from her office, "Where's the boat pics, Ryan?" I scrolled Ryan's page too, nothing new. Just old posts of him flexing by a pool or leaning on a Jeep that probably wasn't his. The cracks were showing, and people were noticing. Around 8, I got a text from an unknown number. "Tom, it's Ryan. Be a man and give her what's hers. This petty stuff is beneath you." I laughed out loud. Guy had nerve. I'll give him that. Forwarded it to Mike, who replied, "He's digging his own grave. Keep silent." I did. Instead of engaging, I grabbed my toolbox and installed a new keypad lock on the front door, something Lisa wouldn't have the code for. Felt symbolic, locking her out for good. Then I sat on the couch with a beer, flipping through channels, trying to unwind. My phone buzzed again. Lisa's dad. "Tom, I hate this. She's spiraling. Ryan's not what he seems, plays his leverage to the hilt. All smoke and mirrors. She's too proud to admit it." I didn't call back, just let it sink in. The next morning, I went for a run, something I hadn't done in years but figured I needed to clear my head. When I got back, Lisa was sitting on my porch steps, arms crossed, eyes red like she'd been crying. She stood up when she saw me. "Tom, we need to talk," she said, voice shaky. I kept my distance, wiping sweat off my forehead. "Nothing to say, Lisa. Talk to Mike." She stepped closer. "You're ruining everything. I just need my file box. Ryan's job fell through, and I need work. Stop punishing me." I shook my head, walked past her, and went inside. "All communication goes through my lawyer," I said through the screen door before shutting it. She banged on it, yelling, "You're heartless." I didn't open it, just watched from the window as she paced, texting furiously, then finally stormed off when her ride showed up. I called Mike right after. She showed up, man, freaking out about her stuff. He told me to text her once, contact my attorney. Details provided. I did, then grabbed the security cam footage from the porch. Mike wanted everything documented. That night, I cooked myself a steak, opened another beer, and started boxing up the last of her junk, old books, a scarf, some photos I didn't want anymore. Found a mix CD she'd made me when we started dating, back when she'd laugh at my dumb jokes and we'd drive nowhere just to talk. I tossed it in the box without playing it. That Lisa was gone, or maybe she'd never been real. Either way, I was done chasing ghosts. The days started blending together after Lisa's porch meltdown. I'd wake up, make coffee, head to work at the hardware supply office, and come home to a house that felt more mine every day. It had been a week since she showed up, and the silence from her end was deafening. No calls, no texts, nothing. I figured she'd finally gotten the hint and gone through Mike, but I wasn't holding my breath. Work kept me busy, pushing orders through, meeting with store managers, the usual grind. My boss, Greg, even slapped me on the back one day and said, "Tom, you're killing it lately." Focused as hell. I just nodded, didn't tell him it was because my personal life had imploded and I needed something to pour myself into. Then, one evening, I got a call from Mike while I was grilling burgers in the backyard. "Good news, buddy," he said. Her attorney reached out. They want to set up a meeting to swap her stuff, file box, whatever else she left. Next Tuesday, my office, supervised. She's pissed about the legal hoops, but she's got no choice. I flipped a burger, watching the flames lick up. She say anything about Ryan? Mike chuckled. Not directly, but her lawyer let slip she's reassessing her situation. Sounds like the dreamboat's sinking. I grinned, feeling a little spark of something. Satisfaction, maybe. All right, Tuesday it is. What do I do? He told me to bring the box I'd packed, keep my mouth shut during the meeting, and let him handle the talking. Easy enough. That night, I scrolled through Lisa's social media again. Couldn't help myself. The balcony pics had stopped. Her latest post was a selfie in a coffee shop. No Ryan in sight. Captioned, "Finding my own path." The comments were a mix, some friends cheering her on, others asking where her new life went. Ryan's page was quieter too, just a cryptic post about tough times building character. No Jeep or boat in the background. I dug a little deeper, found a public rant from one of his old buddies in the comments. "Dude, you still owe me for that Vegas trip. Pay up." Looked like the cracks weren't just showing, they were splitting wide open. Saturday morning, I decided to hit the gym. I'd been running some, but a guy at work, Pete, kept bugging me to lift weights with him. Figured why not. Needed to shake off the weird energy Lisa left behind. Pete's a big guy, all tattoos and bad jokes, but he knows his way around a barbell. He showed me how to squat without wrecking my back, and by the end, I was dripping sweat, but feeling good. Like I could handle more than I thought. Afterward, we grabbed coffee at a diner nearby, and I ended up telling him the whole story. Lisa, Ryan, the divorce mess. He whistled low. "Man, she traded you for a poser? Her loss. You're solid, Tom." I shrugged, but it stuck with me. Solid. Maybe I was. Sunday, Jake texted again. "Tom, heads up. Lisa's a mess. Ryan's gig got axed, some startup that tanked. He's borrowing cash from her now, but she's got nothing since the accounts are frozen. She's crashing at his place, but it's ugly." I stared at that, picturing her scrambling in that high-rise. Ryan's slick act falling apart. "She say anything about me?" I typed back. Jake replied, "Yeah, keep saying you're spiteful, holding her stuff hostage. I told her she dug her own hole. I didn't respond, just forwarded it to Mike. Later, Lisa's dad called again. I picked up this time, tired of dodging. Tom, he said, voice rough, she's unraveling. Ryan's a fraud. Place is getting foreclosed, car's gone. She won't listen to us. I'm sorry you got caught in this. I leaned against the kitchen counter, listening. Appreciate it, but she made her bed, I said. He sighed. I know. Just thought you should know. Monday night, I was boxing up the last of her stuff for the meeting, some old letters, a jacket, that mixed CD still unplayed, when my phone buzzed. Lisa. Tom, I can't believe you're doing this. Ryan says you're gloating, watching me fail. I need my file box now. I've got a job interview. I didn't answer, just sent it to Mike. Then another text, from Ryan. You're a small man, Tom. Enjoy your little victory. I laughed. Guy was still swinging, even with his world crumbling. Mike texted back fast. They're desperate. Tuesday's gonna be fun. Tuesday morning, I loaded the box in my truck and drove to Mike's office. Got there early, sipping coffee in the waiting room, feeling oddly calm. At 2 o'clock sharp, Lisa walked in alone. No lawyer, no Ryan. She looked rough, hair messy, wearing a hoodie I recognized as mine from years back. Where's your attorney? Mike asked, standing up. She crossed her arms. I don't need him. Just give me my stuff, Tom. Stop dragging this out. Mike shook his head. Not how this works. You left, we set rules. Where's your guy? She snapped, he's busy. I'm handling it. I stayed quiet, watching her unravel. Mike called her lawyer on speaker. Guy had no clue she was there. She's off script, he said, sounding annoyed. I'll be there in 20. Lisa glared at me. Happy now? You win, Tom. My life's a mess, and you're just sitting there smug. I met her eyes, kept my voice flat. Didn't win anything. Just cleaning up your mess. She flinched, then started pacing, muttering about Ryan, the job, how I'd ruined her. When her lawyer showed up, red-faced and apologizing, Mike handed over the box. Contents checked, signed for, done. Lisa snatched it and stormed out without another word. I watched her go, feeling nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just done. That night, I met Pete for beers. Told him about the meeting, and he raised his glass. To moving on, man. She's history. I clinked mine against his. History. Yeah, that sounded right. After the meeting at Mike's office, life started feeling lighter, like I'd shed a weight I didn't know I was carrying. I drove home that Tuesday night with the windows down, letting the cool Indianapolis air hit my face, and for the first time in weeks, I turned up the radio instead of sitting in silence. Work kept rolling. Greg, my boss, had me running point on a new contract with a chain of home improvement stores, and I was nailing it. Late nights at the office turned into early mornings at the gym with Pete, who'd become more than just a workout buddy. He cracked jokes about my form, then buy me a coffee after, saying stuff like, "You're tougher than you look, Tom." Lisa didn't know what she had. I'd laugh it off, but it was sinking in. I was finding my footing again. A couple days later, Mike called with an update. Her lawyer's pushing for a quick divorce settlement, he said. She's not fighting for the house or much else, just wants it over. Probably needs cash fast. I was flipping through channels on the couch, half listening. What's her angle? I asked. Mike paused. My guess? Ryan's mess is bleeding her dry. She's got no leverage here. House is yours. Accounts are split clean. We'll wrap this up soon. I nodded to myself, picturing her scrambling in that crumbling high-rise. Good. Let's finish it, I said. He promised to send papers my way by the weekend. That Friday, I got a text from Jake while I was at the gym, spotting Pete on the bench press. Tom, she's back at Mom and Dad's. Ryan's gone kicked her out when the landlord padlocked the place. She's got nothing but that file box now. I set the weights down, catching my breath. What happened? I typed back. Jake replied quick. He was a con, owed money everywhere. Car repoed, job was fake. She's broke and humiliated. I showed Pete, who snorted. Karma's a beast, huh? I didn't feel smug, just relieved. She chased a mirage, and it had vanished. Me? I was still standing. Saturday, I decided to shake things up. Pete dragged me to a cookout at his place, a little house on the east side with a backyard full of mismatched chairs and a fire pit. His buddies were there, loud and rowdy, passing beers and grilling ribs. I met his cousin, Sarah, who rolled up in a beat-up hatchback with a cooler of homemade lemonade. She's 32, works at a vet clinic, with short brown hair and a laugh that cuts through the noise. Pete introduced us, saying, Sarah, this is Tom, the guy I told you about who's too stubborn to quit. She grinned, handing me a cup. Heard you've been through the ringer. You look all right for it. We hit it off, talking about dogs. She's got a mutt named Rusty, and dumb movies we both liked. Nothing heavy, just easy. By the end of the night, she gave me her number, saying, text me if you're ever bored. I did, the next day, and we've been talking since. Lisa's social media went dark after that. No more coffee shop selfies or cryptic quotes. Jake filled me in over the phone a week later. She's working at a call center now, barely scraping by. Keeps asking about you, Tom. Thinks you're laughing at her. I wasn't. I was too busy living. Work was picking up. The gym was paying off, down 10 pounds and counting, and Sarah was a breath of fresh air. We'd grab burgers or walk Rusty at the park, and she'd tease me about my terrible taste in music. Country's fine, but you need some variety, she'd say, then play something loud and funky from her phone. I liked her. No games, no filters, just real. Then, one Thursday, I came home from work to find Lisa sitting in her pickup truck in my driveway. She got out when she saw me, looking thinner, tired, clutching a paper bag like it was a lifeline. Tom, she started, voice cracking. I messed up. Ryan was a lie. I see that now. Can we talk? I stopped at the porch, keys in hand. Nothing to talk about. Lisa. Divorce is moving forward. You've got your stuff. She stepped closer, eyes wet. I'm sorry. I thought he was better, but he wasn't. You were good to me, and I threw it away. I looked at her, feeling a flicker of pity, but no pull to fix it. You made your call, I said. I'm making mine now. She started crying, saying she had nowhere to go, that her parents were fed up. I didn't budge. Talk to Mike if you need something legal, I told her, then went inside and locked the door. She sat out there for an hour, engine running, before driving off. That night, I called Sarah, told her what happened. She listened, then said, you did right, Tom. She can't just undo what she broke. We met up for coffee the next day, and she brought Rusty, who slobbered all over my jeans. I didn't mind. Later, Mike sent the divorce papers, simple, clean, favoring me since Lisa had bailed with no notice. I signed them, feeling a chapter close. Lisa texted one more time that week. You've changed. I don't know you anymore. I didn't reply, just forwarded it to Mike and went to meet Sarah for a movie. She picked some cheesy action flick, and we laughed through the whole thing, popcorn spilling everywhere. For the first time in months, I wasn't looking back, just ahead.